So hello everyone and a very good afternoon to all of you. I take this opportunity to welcome all of you to our exclusive webinar on Destination France September 2020, which is organized jointly by Joining Campus, Campus France Paris and Galileo Global Education. As I rightly said that it is an exclusive webinar in which we will be having a panel discussion and there won't be any presentation. So there will be a discussion between experts from Campus France Paris, Galileo Global Education and Joining Campus. So before I introduce our panel of experts today, let me just introduce myself. Of course, many of you know me because we work together since last 10 years, I guess. So myself, Amni Trivedi, branch manager of Joining Campus, and I have been in this industry since last 12 years, working with Joining Campus, promoting higher education in France. So let me just introduce to our panel of experts today. And we have Ms. Mathili, Head of Asia Unit, Marketing and Mobility Department, Campus France Paris. Mr. Ivan, Deputy Head of Asia Unit, Marketing and Mobility Department, Campus France Paris. We have Mr. Didier, Director Development International, Galileo Global Education. Of course, we were expecting Miss Cecilia, but somehow she is not well today and she could not join us. She is Area Manager Asia, Galileo Global Education. Mr. Chetnesh Mishra, International Relation, Joining Campus. I thank to all our panelists to be the part of our today's exclusive webinar. Galileo Global Education, it's a group of 42 schools with 80 campuses and academic collaborations in 13 countries. We all know, since last weeks, we have been incredibly challenging for every one of us. Around the world, we are facing COVID-19 and it has disrupted all our life in more than, it's been very challenging for all of us. So in these difficult times, we would like to keep you posted about all the developments and changes that are going on. Our associates, students, partners, all of them, they are having lots of questions and we are trying our best to answer all of them. So let's proceed towards our session today. And I would request to one by one to all of our panelists to have opening remarks. And first I would request Miss Mathili to have opening remark from her. Yes, Miss Mathili.
Okay, thank you very much, Avani, for inviting Campus France Paris on this seminar and the webinar. So hello, everyone. I'm very pleased and honored to be part of you today. So a few words about what's going on. So we are all facing a very unusual situation. We all know this. Nonetheless, France has made a lot of effort, like many other European countries, to try and face in the best way we could the situation. So as far as international students and Indian students are concerned, there is one breaking news that it was a few days ago, about 10 days ago, a joint press release from both ministries of internal affairs and foreign affairs in France, and this has never happened, saying that the students would be on the top priority list to be delivered visa. So as soon as frontiers will be reopened and as soon as it is possible to come back to France and to leave their own countries, the first category of people who would be delivered a visa are the international students. So this is a very important signal delivered by the French government. So this is important, first thing. And then what I wanted also to share as an information is that lots the majority of French higher education institutions, since the beginning of the crisis, have been working hard to improve and to offer more online courses. And I really reckon the effort has been a great one, because there are lots of online courses offered by French education right now, and Campus France Paris have been gathering all the offers on a catalog you can easily find on the web page, on the front page of Campus France Paris internet. So these are important effort that has been made. And then, as you know, Campus France offices in India have been also making lots of efforts to keep contact with the Indian students. So we know that some webinars have been organized, so the information can circulate, and very specific info on what's going to happen in September, October. So we are here to help you. I think signals have been sent, and I hope that the situation can be back to normal quite quickly. So I'm here to ask any question. Maybe one more thing is that, and that's also important to tell, the students who were in France at the time of the crisis have received a lot of help from the French government. As you may know, education in France is the top priority, is the first budget, is the first governmental budget. So students have received visa extensions have been generalized, food coupons have been distributed to students, also financial aid from the government has been distributed to scholarship holders. So there has been strong efforts by the French government to help Indian students studying in France during the crisis. So I'm here, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation, and I'm ready to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Natalie. I would request Mr. Ivan for your opening remarks.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. As Mathilde has already said, we are doing a lot to welcome more international students in France, despite all what happens in the last months. I will just say to you that I will be able to show you a little bit of our new features. We have built this new website, this new catalog with online courses that I will be able to show you a little bit of what is going on with this catalog, and we will be able to talk about what we have done recently to ease the student life for foreign students, and what we have built to enhance our attractivity throughout the world.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, so yes, I request Mr. Didier to have opening remarks, please.
Okay, great. Thank you for having me again. And of course, before I move on for more explanation, just a strong comment that in France, we are quite lucky to have a department organization such as Campus France, as Mathilde said, who have given a lot of support to all international students during this time of crisis, and supported the educational project to make it still possible in this crisis. As well for the online and digitalization of education in France, as mentioned, most schools, public and private, have invested programs and development to have opportunities to have online. This is said, it's not to have online program for students to stay in their country. It shows as well it's a tool that we can use if the schedule must change during the year, that French school will be able to deliver courses if we have to stop going every day in classroom or university. It's not to say, because we know as agents and students, you want to come to France. So it's not like, don't worry, don't come, we will deliver online. This is, the message is placed, it's, we have now possibility to adapt to any type of crisis that will occur. And if you are in France, and that's why we would like you to come, once on the ground and in France, there is almost guarantee for us, at least at Galileo and other schools now, because they have developed that options, there is tools, digital tools that allow us to give the pedagogy in any type of ways. Now we can adapt. If all of a sudden we cannot be more than 40 in a classroom and you have to have a part of day of the school that you need to stay home and have online courses, and after the next day you go on campus and you can rotate. So now the student can alternate and we can still deliver. All the digital tools in public schools and private school in France are now operational. I mean, we quite often complain about our strikes in France, but the November strikes really helped us in France to prepare, because it forced us to be online faster, because some transportation stopped for students to come on campus. So we were a little bit ahead of the game because of that. And after, when the crisis happened, we really moved on with more involvement, and our group invested 5 million euro into digitalizations of our schools. So overall, France have moved quite quickly to be able to offer education for our French students and for international students once they will be in France. Again, we have more and more opportunity to take online courses, but we understand that the main point for an education overseas is to be on the ground and to create these famous networks that you acquire when you're overseas. And you cannot replace that when someone wants to go overseas, because you built this network of friends that you will be carrying throughout your professional life. And there is no digital classroom that can replace that experience. And so therefore we're clearly aware of your desire to be here. And that's why we were very happy when France sent this strong message that priority of visa processing will be before business visa, before tourist visa will be on the student, which is very strong and powerful message sent out, that obviously you will be able to do it through the summer, and hoping that the Campus France offices will be open through late summer to be able to have intake past September, because most schools have slid a little bit their intake date to make sure it give us time to have a student on the ground. And if maybe we will need to have 14 days in your apartment, you have time to do that before coming on campus without being late. And if so, because of what I said before, you will be able to take maybe the first 2 courses online at your place and then move on to our campus. So that's why all the digitalization is very important, because it will give us a lot of flexibility to adjust to different rules and requirements we might have when international students will come to France, depending on what region or country they will be coming in. With that said, I mean, I'll stay open for any question after, but just I wanted to start with this opening remarks. Thank you, Avani.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, so Mr. Mishra.
Yes, so thank you, panelists, and thank you, attendees here. We would like to inform you from joining campus that we are in close touch with most of the universities from France and from Campus France, and we are gathering maximum information about next process and so on. And we always keep you updating by our newsletters very frequently, maybe twice or thrice a week, right? So rest assured that in future also, whenever we have a small news coming in for France, you will be knowing it very soon. So this is my starting remarks, and yes, I'm thankful to Avni for this webinar and to start this webinar.
Thank you. So yes, let's start. And my first question goes to Mr. Ivan. So the question is like, how does France plan to overcome the barriers caused by COVID-19 in terms of increasing the number of international students?
So we have developed several features. Maybe I'd like to show you some of them. I like to share with you that we have organized several websites dedicated to international students. So maybe I will share my screen just to show you some information. So this is the Campus France website. You will easily recognize, but I also wanted to show you that in the French Ministry of Higher Education, we have a dedicated website for international students. And on this website, we have put a lot of information about, of course, studying in France and what will be going on for international students as soon as they are going to choose their curricula or they are willing to come in France, some tips and everything about students' life. Of course, some information about health and some information about assistance. But everything what has been set up with this crisis, mainly we have focused on helping the students in their in these psychological aspects. So just for everybody to know about this website, which is called studentsupport.info, which has been designed to help students to take care about their well-being during the COVID crisis. So this website has been set up by a startup called Nightline, among with all the main actors of the higher education in France. So you have the health ministry, the higher education ministry, some of the main university and schools, and also some associations dedicated with the student life matters. So this website, which has been conceived by Nightline, is a key information to give tips and all the support services, of course in English, that are available in each academic region in France. So this is my first aspect of that answer, is that with the information you'll be able to find online, all the students who are willing to come, who are already in France, will be able to find support services very easily. They will be not let alone if they are choosing to come in France. That's the first aspect of this. Maybe Mathilde, you want to
yeah,
add something?
if I may add something, thank you very much, Ivan, to share this information. If I may add one aspect, sometimes we French people tend to criticize the high level of centralization of France, but sometimes it's also a big asset. And as Ivan just showed you, there were quite a very quick level of answer from the French government to help students, of course, French students and international students. And this is also something quite strong, a strong message we also want to deliver. As you know, there is no distinction in France between French students and international students. All sorts of governmental aid is the same. They will benefit from the same amount of money when they are looking for housing. They will benefit from the same food coupon during the crisis. They will benefit from the same health service. And let us maybe just say a few words about the health service, public service in France, which is, in my opinion, a very strong asset. It is a very strong asset for French people. When you are sick in France, you go to hospital and you don't pay anything. You pay nothing. So this is quite strong, and it also gives you a very strong feeling of something very reassuring, because we know that you're in good hands, and it costs nothing. If, of course, if you go to a doctor which is not in hospital, you will have to pay, but then you will get refund by the French public health system. And I guess that it is quite reassuring for parents. It is for me, you know, as a parent, and it is for me as a citizen. So again, but I will Ivan can go on. This, during the crisis, has been quite strong as a feeling inside the French population. Okay, there is a strong public system here in France that is reassuring. We know that it is working. We know that there will be a lot of information on governmental website. We know that we can go to hospital without a problem. We know that there is something working. And I guess it is a strong asset of the French system.
And now, if I can go on, I can also say that all the French institutions have built themselves into strong welcome services. All the schools and universities have also enhanced their student services, their welcome services, and all those services includes international offices of the universities. So there is a stronger relationship now between international offices and welcome services in universities. That's something that has been set up quite recently. We have worked a lot. After 2019, you may know that our government decided to build a new strategy called Welcome in France, Bienvenue en France. So this was a new strategy from our government to enhance the welcome services for international students by putting together some features that will be able to maximize the quality of welcome international students. We have built up a label for international institutions, for French institutions, that shows to the student what level of welcome services he can ask in those institutions. So I can just show you also a little bit of those information, because we can, I just look at some information. So in this catalog I have mentioned before, you have some a welcome desk which will be able to support students as soon as they arrive. So you have several information. For example, in this university, which is the University Bourgogne-Franche-Comté, located in 4 different cities in France, you have the same level of welcome services in all the four cities. And as you can see, you can rely on a strong team to be able to guide the student from the admission till the departure. So, and they have also build up a buddy system for each student who will be able to follow a group of students during the academic year. So this is just an example because we can show a lot about those services, but this is just a little example of what we have already did and what we will do again in the future, because we have a lot of we also will enhance those welcome services in other universities, school, and we will go on.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ivan. So my next question goes to Ms. Mathili. What is the visa situation for Campus France in India now?
Okay, so I would say it depends. It depends on the flight situation more than on the visa section decision, because as I just said in my introduction remarks, everything is ready now, and we are the French government has made this very strong statement that international students would be on the top list of those getting a visa from France. So everybody's ready. The only thing is, you know, in a very practical way, can we leave? And are there some flights right now to leave India and go to France? So we were sharing this information before the webinar officially started, and as far as I understand, so there will be international flights from 15th of July onwards. Is that correct? So the Campus France offices are open in India. The interviews are run, and the visa will be delivered as I just said. The only problem, if I get it right, is the ability of leaving the Indian territory. But this I have no clue about that. But there's no problem as far as visa are concerned.
Okay, so thank you. My next question is for Ms. Cecilia, but I would like Mr. Didier to answer on her behalf. Yes, so the question is, as a representative of Galileo Group of Education, can you please share with us measures taken by your schools to welcome international students in September 2020?
All right, sure. Thank you for the questions. As usual, and we can start again by bouncing back of Ivan's remark concerning the label. We've been putting our schools through the labelization process of Campus France. The first feedback was Paris School of Business has obtained the label. So which means this part of the process, it's the step up in terms of hosting international students, in terms of orientation. So we have, as usual, Paris School of Business always done it, but orientation days for international students, and to, you know, ice-breaking session for international students and French students, treasure hunt within Paris campus and environment to discover the surrounding of the campus and all the key pharmacy, doctors, police stations, metro, and so therefore they can navigate through the neighboring of their campus. And after integration, academic integrations and seminar with faculty, we developed as well a UX, user experience officer for international students. It's kind of a concierge service for international students. So we hired a new staff at Paris School of Business. So this person is dedicated to the well-being of international students and integration during their first few weeks on campus. So this is a new position for us for our schools. And the next schools we're waiting for now, we submitted the last pieces missing in our file would be LISA, the Institute of Applied Arts in Paris. So we're waiting for the answer as well. So we have put in process all these steps to make it easier and friendly for international students to join our schools. Also, our schools are currently open for French visitors who wish to visit schools before applying or after applying. So there is a sanitary process into coming to our school. So all these have been in place, the marking on the ground and the sanitations. So there is all these has been in place for the last months already. So we're clearly ready for the intake for our French students and international students. So this has been put in place as soon as we could early June, starting on the 8th. We have done that on every campuses in Paris and outside of Paris, as we are in different cities as well. So these are the steps we've been putting in place. We've putting communications with agents, with seminars, just like you as well, to reassure. And just we've been backing up by as well Campus France to make sure our visa could be processed. And after the next step, it's out of our hands, but it's commercial. It's like, do airlines will fly, and after it's as well governmental if they open borders. But it seems all the green lights are there. Again, like throughout this process, we will need to be flexible. I mean, this is a key element. We need to be flexible and adjust, because it's been a moving target since day one, and we have to adjust, I mean, to the processes. It will open, maybe not totally, maybe part of it could be open, it could be with other countries. China is the same, maybe all the provinces will not be open, maybe some, maybe the entire country. So flexibility is the key for your student as well, to be open-minded in this process, knowing that if they are willing to go through it, there is tons of support. France is a reassuring country. As Mathilde said, I think we have one of the most amazing health system in the world. I mean, it's been proven through the crisis. We've been able to absorb the crisis in the rising moment. We've been highly flexible in that system as well. We transported people in a high-speed train, in helicopters and transborder. I mean, they've been highly successful in how to handle the sanitary crisis. So that's proven again that in France, we have the means and the flexibility to adjust and adapt. And in the education system, it's the same. It's been quite a flexible, and they adapt into this process. So we are ready, even though we're seeing, your main question was the state of the Asian market. I mean, obviously in Asia, it's been dropping in terms of applicants, not because of the lack of desire of coming to France. It's because they did not see the end of the tunnel. Why start a process when I cannot start my visa, when I cannot go across the border? But all these lights are becoming green. So I'm hoping it's just our July is the April of last year. I think this is how I see it, because even in India, the main medical exam is being pushed. And so he pushed the answers and the plan of the student at the later date. So in Africa, it's the same. The baccalaureate, the exam was usually end of June, early July. And early July, we had a huge influx of applicants. So now the exam is in early August. So we're getting ready for mid-August to have a huge influx. So now, as usually, April was the time when Indian market was rising. I'm anticipating within the next 2 weeks, by the 15th, we will get what India was resting and looking at. What's the possibility? Is it a project that makes sense to start? And the last 2 weeks, we didn't have the answer, and no one could reassure the potential family and student to say, yes, go ahead, it's a viable project. Now it seems that you will be able, as advisors, to tell your families and students, advising them that go ahead. We have reassuring conversations with Campus France and the visa processing. It's a priority. Soon, obviously, we'll have the message of, okay, the borders outside Schengen space are opening. And then when we will know that, okay, the airlines are going in and out freely, like I think you could clearly push France as a destination ready to host Indian students for sure. Plus, as you know, with what President Macron has done with work after study, India as a specific place and a very special place in that market of staying and studying, working after your study in France. It's one of the few countries in which you have a bilateral agreement that allows Indian students with a specific degree to stay and work after studying. So with all of that, yes, a lot of measures have been taking place, and we are waiting for India to start the application process for France in September and October mainly.
Yes. Thank you. My next question is for Mr. Mishra. So, as you have visited most of the French schools, can you please share some more information about schools, infrastructure, and cities?
All right. Okay. I'm coming out of COVID now. That's good. Yeah. So yes, this information could be good for number of attendees here, because they always ask a question about Paris, outer Paris, and so on. So yes, France has a lot of great schools, whether they are business schools or engineering schools. Paris has that top-ranked school as well, but at the same time, there are cities like Lyon, Toulouse, Rennes, or many cities are there where there are top ranked universities you can find. They are top ranked whether in Financial Times, QS, and so on. They have tie-ups with IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Bangalore, or top universities from the world. So when it is France, it's not Paris or outer Paris. Your students would choose the best universities. All right. In terms of infrastructure and other important factors, I guess I found something very common in every school, which is international professors. Because when I visit any school, I don't only just visit the campus. I also try to meet international department. I try to meet students. I try to meet professors. And professors are not only from one nationality, not only French, but they are from US, from UK, from Russia, from India, from China, and many other countries. Infrastructure is also great. Depending on the city size, sometimes you are in Paris, you don't expect a huge infrastructure like maybe a huge school, but it's huge enough to have a great study environment. So, and when it is outer Paris, of course, you have big open lands, and you have good study environments too. One more thing which I like the most is study clubs that they have. So most of the schools have student clubs where you can participate in different clubs. Maybe if you are from part of Asia and you have your cultural something, you can create that club as well. So you have to take your initiative to become a member, or you open your own club with the help of school. So I have seen a lot of students from different countries have their own regional clubs as well. So that's I like more. Uh, Additional thing which is called a study rooms for students, which is newly found few years back when I visited few universities, and I asked, okay, what about these rooms? They said these are the student rooms. It means the students can online register that they are looking for a room for their group projects, and they can book this room for a group project. And even one of the greatest study room I found it was like a van outside the campus, and it was a study room, and imagine it had a Wi-Fi as well, right? So that was amazing. So I mean, this is something innovative and I like the most. So yeah, this is the answer from my side.
Okay. Thank you. So my next question is again for Mr. Vidya. What are your applicants' number regarding Asian market this year?
Okay, as I said earlier in my previous comment, like Asia, it's snoozing, let's say. They're waiting to see and to have a better sense of what the future is holding, like most of us in this time. And so therefore, for the Indian market overall with our group, and I can see a broader spectrum because we have art schools, digital schools, business schools, drama schools. So overall, India this year, we're minus 34% in terms of application. it's been a huge drop for India, even more than the other country within Asia. But in Asia, all Asian countries, we've been dropping.
Yeah.
The reverse is true for Africa. In Africa, we're up 20, 30, 50, some country 120%. So Africa and Middle East have been, I think they've been less impacted for the moment, maybe, but in terms of COVID and the growth in this market for us. And as I said, we have a broader view of all different schools and type of student coming in. So Tunisia, Morocco, was it Algeria, have been increasing, Cameroon as well. So all these countries who have Francophone as well language, so he helps them as well to stay with us. But in terms of Asia, every single Asian country, Vietnam, Japan, Korea, have been dropping this year. Some drastically, like India, I think is the minus 34%. It's because of its major partners with us. But I'm still hopeful, and that's why I keep sharing that with you, Avani and Chetnesh, that it's just a matter of time sliding back. Like now they've been waiting because as we kept our finger on the pulse of the interest based on the feedback we have is still there. So throughout this time, it was more trying to keep the interest alive and reassure everyone to, okay, it's still worth it to invest time and promote France, because once you get going, it's one of the most stable destination, I would say, that you have if you compare to the rest of the world. And if you compare to the US as of now, I think the choice is well taken. If you want to, if I had a child of educational age, it's a safer destination, I would say, to select France as the US. And this, I'm not in an embassy or government agent, so I can say it freely, but it's safer to come to France as for the health system, for the political stability, for the educational system, of course, and the English. I mean, the rise of English curriculum in France has been tremendous over the last less than 10 years. I mean, we started 10 years ago, it was very few programs in English. And now you can see from public to private, a very large panel and a portfolio of academic offering in English, which is remarkable, as French started from way behind, and even compared to the Dutch or Germany, we have made a tremendous increase in the offering and the quality as well. As Chetnesh mentioned to you, our faculty, it's not only French with a very thick accent trying to speak English to Indian students, but we have faculty from all over the world in our top business schools and faculties in universities, Australian, Canadian, I mean Indian, a lot of Indian faculty as well have been part of the professors teaching in France. So there's a diversity as well within academia in terms of students, but faculty as well, and administrators. We have a lot of administrators in different schools who are from international background. And from Australia, we have Lisa in Strasbourg. It's an American director. We have directors and women for different countries running our schools. So we are very diverse as well within the environment. So I answer a little bit broader your question, but we're waiting back to your main question. We dropped in terms of application number, but we are really hopeful, and especially after such events like that, when we can reassure people and you can see that all together we're ready, and the willingness that the government have pushed and the readiness that we are now in steps. That's July 1st, I think it's the start of a very, very busy summer for everyone, I think.
Yeah, we are also hopeful, and it's just a matter of time. But yes, we are also hopeful, like we will be having good numbers, yes.
Maybe if I can add something, and it's also a question to Didier, and it's also part of the answer that Didier made. There are definitely a lot of schools and universities who have adapted, you know, the intake, the courses. We have already spoken about the online courses, but there are some schools and in universities that will offer a January intake. Do you confirm this, Didier? Because it's also maybe important to share this information to you guys and to the students. So those who want to come for the September classical intake will be able to come, of course, given that the current obstacles are raised. We have talked about the planes, the fares are also maybe a problem because we still don't know what will be the price of the first planes going out of India. But we maybe can also talk about the intake, the January intake. So maybe Didier, you want to share some info about this with us?
Yeah, thank you, Mathilde. Yes, of course, we have, like, for example, Paris School of Business, the same intake we have in October, we have the same in January, and other schools have developed as a backup plan. You know, when you manage risk management of crisis, you have to have different scenarios. And for scenario, the worst that we could be was, you know, nothing is open in October and everything will be pushed to January. So all our schools within our group, we have developed this plan. This is, I think, plan C. I think that's the third one in line, because we have no intake, half intake, some countries. So we have all the scenarios that we've developed throughout the confinement period are ready to be deployed at any time. And so the scenario of let's move to spring is ready. So most schools now have developed intakes for January. On the other side, because we are in admission and you guys are a network living on what you selling to your customers, and it's the gray border of academia and talking about sales. Because if you cannot guarantee your sales for September and you say let's move later, that's a risky. And I know some agents around the world were not too willing to talk about January, meaning let's not do business in September and push. So all the talk this morning is reassuring, because you clearly see that everything is in place to start and get students to France as soon as we can. So it's not an issue of we're not going to make it possible. So everything is in place to push for September. But now you know that options will be there as far as public and private have developed potential intake in the spring. So it's January. Some of them we specific when we have a lot of, for example, Chinese student, we have an intake after Chinese New Year's Eve. So we've been at that level of services and specificity. We have pushed our schedule to match the break of February for Chinese student and to have it coming later. So we have 5 or 6 scenarios available to adapt to the crisis. As I said earlier, it's flexibility that needs to be taken, but as well, thanks to Mathilde's remark, it's reassuring for you that when you start to work with a family, and if something happened in October or August, you can carry on that work with this family, because other options of you placing the student in France will be available to you. Meaning January and even mid-February, we have intakes now. So options will be there if you if you push your student for a French destination. Flexibility is the key word here, and we have proven we can clearly adapt.
Okay, thank you. So my next question is for Mr. Ivan. Can you please let us know the overall number of students France is planning to invite from the world, and specifically the number of students from Asia?
I will speak on behalf of Mathilde, but we have more a long-term objective. We cannot speak about short-term objectives, especially with this crisis. But as maybe you know, we have set up an objective of 500,000 international students by 2027. So that's our main goal to achieve. But in terms of this crisis, as Didier just have explained to you, it's obvious that we will have a drop, but we are more thinking about the next strategy, about how to welcome more students in the future, despite this crisis and despite all the trouble this crisis have caused in maybe people's mind. It's very important to in the future reassure, as Didier and Mathilde have already said, but it's on the long term, I think. So, Mathilde,
Yeah,
if
I may add something, and Yvan is fully right. Of course, we have, you know, goals, of course, and this is, you know, all government, ministries, agencies, they love playing with figures, you know. Oh, we have this, we want to achieve this number. So Yvan already mentioned the government strategy of Welcome to France, and Bienvenue en France. So, and the figure he has stated is right. And then, of course, we work hand in hand with the French embassy in India and the Campus France embassies in India, and the current French ambassador likes to state the objective of 50,000 Indian students. So again, as Chetnesh and Vani said, and Didier also, 10 years or 15 years back, there were so few Indian students in France, and the figures are really incredible. And so we've been doing, collectively, we've been doing a great job. The French higher education institutions have been doing a great job, because the Indian market is not that easy for us, for France, because, you know, the image, the cliches are very strong. Like Didier said, okay, France is a country where nobody speaks English. There were also cliches about the level of France is very expensive. Who knows that, you know, public universities in France have no tuition fees? Who knows that business schools in France cost as maybe twice less than or 3 times less than business schools in England or even in Australia. So there has been a lot done by, of course, agents like you guys, the Campus France offices, and the French higher education institutions who have been brave enough to, you know, to go to India. So again, if we look back 10 years back or 15 years back, there has been huge progresses made, and we must be very happy about that. So let's be quite confident with the coming 2, 5, or 10 years. I'm personally am very, very confident, because the news are spreading out. The Campus France office now, there are 13 Campus France office through India. They are doing a great job, and the French embassy is pushing a lot. This is the top priority for French ambassador Mr. Lenain. Attracting more Indian students, giving priority to youth in India. It is his priority. Maybe you've seen 2 interviews that have been released. One in the Times of India, the other maybe Hindustan. I'm not so sure, but I'm sure about the one in Times of India. And it's very. We were also, of course, we were very happy back in Paris to read this interview, because we said, okay, we have this ambassador pushing a lot, and so we are quite confident about the raise and the figures, and I'm quite sure that if we have the same webinar within 2 or 3 years, we will be able to you know, the figures will be higher.
Okay. Thank you. So I think most of the questions have been answered in the discussions. So quickly, I will ask all the panelists to have closing remarks, and then we can have question and answers from the. We can have questions from the attendees, and maybe our panelists they can answer their questions. So I would request Ms. Mathili to have closing remarks, please.
If
Okay,
I
I
may
think
interject, instead of closing remark, maybe we can wrap up at the end, because it's better now that leave the attendees to ask their questions, and
Of
after
course,
we can
yes.
close for good.
Okay.
No. Yeah,
Okay,
thank-
fine. So,
I was about to say the same. Thank you,
yeah.
okay, sure. So I will open up the floor for question and answer session. So please, I would request our attendees to ask their questions, and you can also ask your questions in the chat box, or maybe you can raise your hand if you have any questions, and so that we can unmute you and you can ask your questions.
Savni, you have got a question.
Yes, I have a question.
What's the max age for
Max
bachelor and
age.
master's degree, master's program in France?
No max age.
Correct.
Yes, there is no max age, but since I'm not part of Campus France, and I can advise you as far as for you what makes sense to work on a project. It's for bachelor student, it's anyone who's over 30, even though there is no max age, even in France there is no max age. But a lot of questions are raised from a student who's been out of school for many years, and at 30 plus is willing to go with an environment with 18 years old. What's the benefits of this project? So even though there is no max age, I would say to a bachelor, someone who's looking for a bachelor student, a bachelor program, over 30, there is a lot of, I mean, the projects, it's tough to make sense out of it, especially if there is a huge gap of stopping of studying and a long period of professional experience. To be back with 18-year-old might not bring you a lot of added value to this project. So you might have issues even first with us. To be honest, me for the school that I'm running here, someone with a profile like that, I never given admission for this type of profile, because it doesn't to take that much in terms of finance, huge budget, and the added value to be mixed with that environment it's not the greatest for me. And so therefore, and even no longer than yesterday, I met a student, he was from India, that I decided not to take that profile, because within the classroom, it will be what the student expects. And for the masters, it's about the same. Someone who's 45 or 50, I push them to executive program that we have online or on location, MBAs. We have some MBAs, but even those from MBA, if they're junior MBA, it's not so much the age, but it's the timeline of their education and professional experience. So at the end, he ends up to be translated in terms of age, but it's more the continuity. If you went to school, in high school, you did 3 years professional, and then you move on for XYZ reason, because it depends of country. Sometimes right after high school, you need to work to get money to go for your bachelor. So depend on the context, the culture, and the countries, we adjust to that, of course. But in general, the project have to make sense. And so for bachelor, 3-5 years after high school, moving on to bachelor, that's the maximum acceptability that we could go for. Again, there is always exceptions, but this is how I run the admissions here, and not based on visa insurance or not, because there is no limit. But as general, to give you a guideline, guys, for the family and student you meet, it's how we see it here, and for Galileo Global Education Schools in France. I'm not talking, but I think it gives you a frame that usually acceptable for most schools in France.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe to add to what Didier said, which is the right answer regarding the type of very specialized and professional education and schools he's running. I think he's really right. Again, the French system, like every educational system, is complex and has lots of different actors. If I think about national universities who push the idea of, changing your professional life, and there are some specialized sectors that will, help people, change their qualification and change their project and their professional project. There are some universities where students start their masters at 40, 45, because the kind of education you will find at a public university has nothing to do with the kind of education you will find in very specialized schools. So the general answer is there is no limit. Maybe students who are interested in, I want to change my professional career, I want to work on a different project, would be more interested in what public universities tend to offer. And in that case, there will be no age limit. But what Didier said is correct. In specific and very professionally oriented institutions, the answer Didier gave is correct.
Okay. I have a question from attendee.
Avani, just to complete as well, it's related to India specifically. There is as well a change, as Mathilde just mentioned, change of path in careers. Quite often in India, we hear, my daddy wanted me to be an engineer, so I did my bachelor in engineer, but I hate it. And so therefore, I'm doing a master in supply chain. So we change as well. We are open. Obviously, it doesn't have to be, okay, if you're engineers, your master has to be in engineering as well. So specifically to India, we're quite open to that. And it happens very often that they go in theater for their masters because now they've done what the family wanted and they have the degree that goes for the bachelor. Now they can explore as a young adult, drama school, applied arts, or supply chain, or other majors at the graduate level. So on that aspect, it's beyond age, because sometimes it gets the age higher, but the change of major and program is acceptable for us as well.
Okay, so I have a question from attendee, like does every school has French as a foreign language, and is it free?
So maybe I can start with that?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
So again, the French system goes from A to Z. It has a large system of public universities, and it has also a large system of smaller, higher specialized institutions. Like Didier said, there has been tremendous progress in terms of language of instruction. 10 years back, you could only or mainly study in France using the French language, and now and again you can find there's a very strong and search engine and catalog of courses taught in English on the website of Campus France. Lots and more courses are taught in English. And as far as business schools, and I will give the floor to Didier, the language of instruction is.
Yeah, so as complementary information for us, for business schools or applied art schools, we offer, we call that survival French courses. So for the student, if they do not need as a criteria for admission, if they take an English curriculum, we do not check their French level, because that's not the language of study. But however, we encourage them to go to Alliance Française before they come in, even though it's English program. We always push for them to take courses at Alliance Française, so at least they can navigate, you know, order their croissant and the baguette, very important, in French, and move into taxi, getting the metro system. So always we recommend that they take few French courses. And after, when they come in our schools, we have on Saturday morning, we have survival French courses offered to international students who wish to have a basic French to be able to enjoy even more their experience within the country.
Okay, so we have next question coming up from Madhvi, and the question is like, what are the popular courses that international students can look for in France?
Wow, very broad question. In France we have a lot of majors. We have one of the, you know, engineering schools and public university and health, and so there is tons of specialty and programs. For us in business, it's supply chain. Supply chain has been shaken lately with what happened, and a lot of processes and the way we're going to move, you know, raw materials and others will be reshaped. And supply chain, I think it's a very important program and courses to follow, because it will be highly impacted with what is happening now. Because we had hotel and tourism, for example, we had an MSc in hospitality. Well, the one who wants to get in that, knowing the, you know, the market shape of hospitality and events at the moment, it's tough. I mean, to be quite honest, to take an MSc to be on the job market in 12 months from now in hospitality, that's a risky investment, to be honest with you. It would be better to move on to one in digital or as I say, supply chain or finance. But within the economical environment, you have to make sure that at the end, we're just the connectors to, you know, real job market. So you have to know, like, if I'm not pushing right now, and I'm reorienting students who want hospitality management, because some of them have family tradition and business. So of course, we can push them there. But if in 12 months from now, the job market is not looking great, we try to advise the students, so at least you understand in what situation they're putting themselves. So I'm not answering your question because we have such a broader specialty. Maybe Mathilde and Yvon can help me on that, but we ranked quite often in the top 10 of every field in the world. It could be in engineering, health, I mean, nuclear, and research and military, and there is a lot of collaboration with India anyway on different aspects as well. So I cannot pinpoint one program saying this is the golden key. I don't have that answer.
Yeah, I fully agree with what you said, Didier. The French system is a very broad one, a global one, a comprehensive one. So every kind of subject, every, you know, from, again, it's difficult. It's a difficult question to answer.
So yeah, we are running out of time. So of course, like I would love to answer all the questions, but yes, we are there to answer all your questions. You can be in touch with your partner relation manager for joining campus, and we will be always there to answer all your questions. So quickly, I will ask all the panelists for the closing remarks. I'm so sorry, like we are not able to answer all the questions, but yes, we are always there to assist you whenever you want, and we will surely answer all your questions whenever you call us. And yes, I would like to start with Ms. Mathili for your closing remarks, please.
Okay, thank you. So my closing remarks will be very practical. Campus France has, again, I've said that, but 13 offices throughout India. And again, hosting Indian students is the top priority of our ambassador. So all the questions that we were not able to ask now, please write to the Campus Friends offices, like the one you had on the visa, on the job aspects. It's their job to answer these type of questions, so do not hesitate. And bienvenue en France. Welcome to France.
Thank you so much. Yes, Mr. Ivan, please.
I just wanted to share with you my key idea of this webinar. I want to thank you all. And what strikes me in our exchanges is that I think Didier will be agree with me, is that the key idea is our ability to adapt. And we have shown that we could adapt very easily and very, very fast. Just to share an opinion with you is that I think that 1 month ago, I was not able to say to you that we will be able to welcome students in September. Few months ago, I was absolutely sure that we will not be able to welcome students before January. And now, as we have brought to you, we have told you that there is we can adapt, and there is several options. We can welcome students as soon as possible. Student residency are open. As soon as flights and visa will be available, we will be able to welcome students as previously.
Thank you, Mr. Ivan. Yes, Mr. Didier, please.
Okay, again, thank you for the time and to be able to talk and have a conversation with all of you. There is one question that was mentioned, and that was concerning the job market and the possibility in France to work after that. I mean, every crisis generated opportunity, and I think for COVID-19 was more an accelerator. He pushed the digital agenda the way he was supposed to. He was planned to show up within the next 5 to 10 years. Well, we had to do it in 2 months, so here it is. So there is opportunity in the job market as well in digital aspect. The job market in France, like in every country, will be impacted, as I mentioned. Tourism, event, hospitality, restoration would be sectors where it will be hard, and after spatial aeronautics and so forth. But we have, again, in France, Mathilde mentioned the support to the student, and we've done a great job. I think Bruno Le Maire, the Minister of Finance, has done a tremendous job with President Macron to support the industry and the economy in this country. So thanks to the billions that they've been injecting in the French economy, we are keeping a fairly stable economical environment, and opportunities will be there, like in every crisis. So there is huge opportunities to come and grab in France as well on the job market if you select the right track. And as I said, digital, web management and programming, France is one of the top country in all the engineers on Silicon Valley and the top corporation. If you look at it, you'll find a French guy. So it's we have a tremendous training and curriculum in this field as well. So welcome to France, bienvenue en France. We're obviously all waiting for you guys. There is opportunities in academic environment. And as I say, after when you stay for a year working in the French economy and helping us to boost our economical environment and competitiveness with the brain power that Indian students are known for. So again, thank you for the time you spend with us, and looking forward to more opportunities to promote France as a destination and to connect with you to get to know better the Indian market and country. I mean, I've been traveling to India quite a lot to know that I don't know it. It's such a diverse country that to get to know it, it's almost impossible. So, but very happy to have the opportunity to share this time with you guys. Thank you, Avani, and thank you, Jetnesh.
Thank you so much, Mr. Didier. Yeah, so Mr. Mishra, please. Maybe I think, yes. Please unmute.
Yes. Yes. All right. Good. We are actually highly optimistic that the world will open soon. and we also discuss with our associates, and they discuss with the students. And finally, students know this is a global, I mean, everybody is going global, the world is becoming global, and this is an opportunity for students to study abroad. I'm not in general talking about France, but they want to study abroad. So uh, uh, that's now, or maybe in few months, but yes, they are very open to study in France. So to everybody, I just have a message that welcome to France. And as President of France said, choose France. Thank you, Avni. Thank you, panelists, and
So
thank you, team.
once again, I thank you all the panelists for the time and for the wonderful discussion today we had. And thank you all the attendees. And I just want to say that please remain safe. And yes, choose France, of course. France is a safe destination and, of course, the #1 destination for international students. So once again, thank you all of you for your time and for attending today's exclusive webinar. And we look forward for many such more sessions in future, and we keep you updated for all the informations for study in France. Thank you. Thank you all of you.
Thank you. Good day.
Thank you.